So, welcome to this third part of my Bleach blind review. In this part I will be talking about the Soul Society arc, or more specifically the sneak entry arc, which is chapter 71 to chapter 118. So, as the title suggests, this is a blind review, so I have never consumed anything from Bleach before. I may have heard about some things here and there though. Also, this is the third part of the series, so if you would like to watch the first two parts, check out this playlist in the info box appearing about right now. And without further ado, and after you hopefully liking the video and subscribing, let's start. So, we start by the main group getting out of the portal and entering the Soul Society. That's it. They entered Soul Society. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. No, anyway, they reach a rather poor area of Soul Society, and later we get to know that there are actually social structures in Soul Society, like slums, rich places, and so on. Which on the one side is great because it makes Soul Society a more realistic and interesting place, but also how depressing is being poor even after death. Anyway, they wanna move, but a giant wall falls from the heaven and there stands a guard who hasn't lost in like 1 million years or so, and Ichigo of course beats him. Which I would criticize, but I know what's coming next. So this isn't really criticism worthy yet. Listen, last video I talked about the cliche of anime characters training for a week and beating people who have trained for years. But this is surely taking the piss a little bit now. The fight was cool, but they still couldn't enter as Captain Kuchiki, who is one of the biggest pricks in Bleach, doesn't let them pass. The group wanders around Soul Society, where we get to know the place a little better, and hey, we meet the kid who was the parrot in one of the past arcs. I like seeing side characters of past arcs. Makes the world seem more lively, like the characters actually doing things even without the main cast around. He also tells that he didn't find his mother yet and introduces us to a concept which is scary really. So since quite some people have died since, you know, the existence of humanity, that means Soul Society is fucking massive, and once you die, you just get spawned at a random place and will possibly never find your family because of how big this place is. To not feel completely lonely, you have to make a fake family with random ass people. And I'm not saying just random ass people, I mean it. This motherfucker could have lived in the 7th century. Jesus Christ. Soul Society is depressing. Then they make up a plan to enter Soul Society and meet up with a woman called Kukaku, and she will fire them through her chimney, which is a cannon above the walls. Yes, genius plan. Why didn't the Mongols think of that right from the get-go? There we meet the brother of her as well, Ganju, who Ichigo just had beef with the last night without knowing who he was. And of course it's the classic they don't like Shinigamis because they killed their brother story. So after some training, the main group gets fired through the cannon with one addition to the team, Ganju. He joined the team because Ichigo made him believe in Shinigamis and he wanted to see what the Shinigami are like. He basically fell in love with Ichigo. Entering the atmosphere of the city, they get separated into Chad himself, Orihime and Ishida, Yoruichi by herself, and Ichigo and Ganju. After landing, we get to see Ichigo and Ganju fighting two highly ranked members, but not really that much of a deal. Since there are way more important fights, I'll brush over this. However, it is important to note that as soon as Ichigo mentioned he was trained by Urahara, they wanted to kill him even more, if that makes any sense. So Urahara really must be like the most wanted man in Soul Society. Also, yet again, I just wanted to say how amazing Kubo's paneling looks. Like, damn, this looks amazing. The fights were really good. Now, after beating Ikaku and the other guy, and I couldn't bother less about knowing what this guy is called, they tell them where Rukia is. By the way, everyone in Soul Society, after they get beaten, they are very cooperative. After that, they go on and they crash into some people, and then they try using a hostage to run away from a situation, but in the most random fashion, that hostage now joins them and helps them find Rukia. The guy's name is Hanataru, and he's the cliche character of, hey, I met you for like 30 minutes and you were really nice to me back then, so I will risk my life to save you. Chad and Ishida get one shining moment in between beating an opponent, but this part is so much focused on Ichigo, and I'm fine with that, but we didn't see too much of Orihime and Ishida thus far. So I'm hoping we get to see more in the next chapters. Anyway, Ichigo meets Renji again and they fight. And to be fair, the fight in itself was amazing, and even on Earth Ichigo didn't seem that much off of beating Renji. So in a fair 1 versus 1, he beats him and the fight was pretty brutal. Like, they cut each other got really bad. Renji, who was shown to have a good relationship with Rukia, asks Ichigo to save her, and I really liked the moment when he asked him to save Rukia, because it didn't really make sense for him to be like, oh, Rukia has to die, or I don't know why Kuchiki even is all about that, but yeah, it was a nice character moment for Renji. We also see Renji and Rukia's flashback of how their life was miserable in Soul Society until they joined the Shinigamis. Again, Soul Society is nothing like the place I imagined it to be. I imagined some heaven type of place, but this just seems like Earth in another realm. There, after getting into the Shinigamis, Rukia gets adopted into a royal family, and Renji is happy for her, and from then on they can't really be together anymore because royalty is stupid. Now, Hanataru actually really conveniently is a healer and heals the badly injured Ichigo and whatever, I guess. Like, it's quite unrealistic that they bump into a healer that joins them, but they have to fight like a ton of people, so it probably was necessary. Now, unlike Ichigo, Renji gets a not so warm welcome, but Captain Kuchigi orders him to be executed too, which is then being denied by the other captains, but holy shit, this guy needs to chill. Now, we continue with probably the biggest plot twist of this arc, which sadly didn't surprise me or anything. Oh no, Aizen is dead. Listen, I never watched Bleach, but even I know that he is a bad guy, so of course I didn't believe he died. But honestly, that would have been a great moment if I didn't know. Anyways, there was a much more insane plot twist in the ending, so that makes up for it. Aizen tried to frame the 3rd division before his death, so now his vice captain attacks them and they both got put into prison and nobody still knows who did it, and they don't care, it seems like, or at least not now, since there is a bigger problem, like they didn't address it too much. And of course the problem being Ichigo and his friends. Meanwhile, Ichigo meets the captain of the 11th division, Kenpachi, and while he will fight him, Ganju and Hanataru go ahead to Rukia. Ichigo gets wrecked in this fight, as he should, to be honest. Like, he gets cut like a paper and even his sword breaks. That was an awesome moment. His fucking sword broke. Honestly, I was kinda curious how they would solve this fight, since I didn't imagine Ichigo to be strong enough yet, but he got put into the realm with his sword Zangetsu again, where his sword lectures him about how they both need to trust each other, and Ichigo fights off another Ichigo. Essentially, he trusts Zangetsu now and gets his sword, which broke back, and now is strong enough to take on Kenpachi, who doesn't care for his sword. Listen, the fight was actually really cool and all, but essentially this is Ichigo beating a captain, one of the strongest fighters in this universe, or that's how they get portrayed, after training for like 2 weeks and with the power of friendship. And I have to be fair, it's stupid. It was still exciting and a good fight, but he shouldn't be able to. Well, to be precise, he didn't beat him, but they had a draw. The same thing really though for me. One thing I did like about the fight was that Ichigo was so openly afraid and then he overcame it because he wanted to save his friends. Sure, that's like a normal thing now, but I assume back in the day when Bleach came out, it wasn't. Also, unlike modern shonen like My Hero Academia, they didn't overdo it. While these two fought, Chad also had a fight against one of the top 3 fighters of the 8th division. Holy shit, this whole division thing is really confusing. Like, this guy is from this division, this guy is just from... My brain explodes. And Chad actually one-shots him, which makes me curious how much the difference between him and Ichigo really is, because it can't be that much, right? Ichigo also fought against like Kenpachi's underlings, which I assume also is like one of the top 3 guys in his divisions, and Chad one-shots him. So yeah, I'm curious how big the power difference between them is. We see a flashback of how Ichigo and Chad met and why Chad came along, and I really like that his motive wasn't to save Rukia, but because Ichigo wanted to risk his life and save her. Seeing their friendship and all, it makes more sense and is more realistic that he wants to help Ichigo rather than save Rukia. And as I said, it's more realistic, unlike some other characters' motive to save Rukia. Anyway, the captain gets taken away by his vice admiral after he got beaten, and we get to a flashback of those two, and holy shit, everyone's life sucks in Soul Society. Like, if I was in Bleach, I genuinely wouldn't want to die. I mean, I don't want to die now, but you get what I'm meaning. She leaves Ichigo because, I don't know, to honor her captain or something. Honestly, there were like so many chances to kill Ichigo, but he didn't die because he's the main character. Okay, Yoruichi actually shows up again after like 100 chapters. Well, at least she showed up. Remember Ishida and Orihime? Me neither. She saves him and we get to know that the cat is a hot chick. Nice. Hanataru and Ganju meanwhile arrive at the prison, and holy shit, this next plot twist genuinely genuinely made me go crazy. Like, it wasn't obvious, but you could have guessed it. I didn't, so it was a surprise for me. Rukia is the Shinigami who killed Ganju's brother, and now that makes their dynamic like totally unpredictable. Of course, it will probably end up being like Rukia didn't really kill him, maybe she was being forced by her brother, or had to cover some shit up, something like this. Especially since her brother still liked Shinigamis, and Captain Kuchiki remarked that he will kill Ganju now after getting to know his last name. So it's probably something that he did. But for now, that was a great plot twist and makes Ganju an unpredictable character really. So of course he refuses to rescue her now, and then Captain Kuchiki nears the room, and the mad lad Hanataru wants to face off the brother to buy them time, and he was just about to do it, but because Ganju doesn't want Hilagai to die, instead faces off Kuchiki so they can run away, which is a great character moment for him. Honestly, the character relationship and motives why people do things has been spot on this far. Like, it's really great. No one's motives seemed forced. They all kinda make sense. Ichigo on the other hand steals a flying item of Yoruichi and flies to Rukia. Also, a side note I should address, this hollow mask protected him from more damage against Kenpachi, and Yoruichi takes it. Really, we don't know anything about the hollow mask, even though it was introduced like a couple of chapters back, so that has me interested. After Genju gets beaten the shit out of him, Ichigo arrives like the main character he is, and we get a sweet character reunion between Rukia and Ichigo. Also, I just realized that I need at least one Rukia fight in this arc or I'm mad. Ichigo and Kuchiki's fight gets stopped by Yoruichi, and it seems like Yoruichi was also a hotshot because even Kuchiki respects her. She takes Ichigo and his friends and promises a rematch in 3 days, where Ichigo will beat Captain Kuchiki and then leaves without Rukia. I guess she couldn't, but she was right there. Why didn't you just take her with you? Also, this is officially the end of the sneak entry arc. I criticized Bleach a lot again, and yes, it wasn't perfect, but it really had me hooked the entire time, especially towards the ending. Like, I can't wait to continue reading further. All in all, this arc is a huge step up from what I have read before though. The fights were amazing, the story was great, but sometimes it was kinda boring, like when they were at Ganju's place and needed to learn that technique to enter the city, it wasn't really that interesting. But that's like minor stuff. My rating for this arc would be an 8 out of 10. How did you like this part of the story? And do you agree with my criticism? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for listening this far anyway, if you listened this far, but if you hear this, you probably have. So why not leave a like and subscription here while you already are here? Also, I have the exact same blind review series for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so check that out if you are interested. Bye!